Scooby-Doo, Scooby-Doo, Scooby-Doo.
On this episode of the History of the Chorus podcast with Curtis and Josh, we continue our look at the band from Nyack, New Jersey, known as Coheed and Cambria. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at IsSurviveByPro for news and latest episode postings. And make sure to subscribe to the show. Leave us a 5-star review and write us a comment on YouTube or whatever podcast service you're using. And if you'd like to see us do some live streams, leave us a comment or tweet us the keyword stream. Now, without further ado, let's start the show.
The devil is in Atlanta. Army surrounded.
Oh, I've had my share of leaving this retreat, but never did it once feel anything. Like you see. And if there's one good thing that comes from my away, it's that you won't be anything like me. Oh, and so, better for it you will be.
I'm not gonna lie, I almost forgot my cue. Welcome back to the History of the Chorus podcast, sponsored by the Church of Seven Track, where each and every episode we're taking a look at a history of a band in the core genre. I'm Curtis, and with me, as always, is my co-host Josh. What's going on, Josh?
Hello.
I feel like you should have tipped your hat to me when you said that.
Hello. Ooh,
There you go.
the driving crooner.
Oh God. Oh no, he's speeding up. He's gonna ruin it.
He's trying to make it look not real.
Oh man. Yeah, what's going on, buddy?
Oh, not much.
No, okay. Enjoying that final three albums of Coheed and Cambria? Are you? Are you?
More so than I thought I would. Because, I told you before that I had dabbled in Color Before the Sun, but that I had
Right.
not listened to anything from the other two until last week.
Right.
And after Afterman, it rolled into Unheavenly Creatures. So I did listen to a couple of tracks off that, but um I will say I feel a little bit more confident about this
Okay.
second cycle. I can
Okay.
feel we're doing a different thing here. There was a mood and a sound for, the first part of the Armory Wars that we knew and that we loved. And it was kind of a darker tone.
Yeah.
Not that things aren't dark in the story, presently, but it takes a more almost kind of 80s approach with a
Mm,
lot of the synth.
yeah.
And it just feels lighter.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that.
But
I would.
um, yeah, I feel better than I thought
Okay.
I would. Yeah, going into these last few.
The ease is apprehension. I don't know if I want to. I don't know if I'm going to enjoy this.
I was just so
But
worried
he's
about tarnishing,
right.
like the great thing we had. So
That's what I was like after last week's episode and really thinking about it more about like what you're saying on that subject. Like I started questioning, man, should they as a band or after they got done with Rainbow, because obviously Afterman is its own little thing, still in the same universe, but its own little story too. But like after you get done with Year of the Black Rainbow, it's almost like that story's completely finished. Do they just stop and then just restart with a brand new band name? You know what I mean?
right,
I mean, we've talked about it before about bands hitting that point in their career where it's like, okay, we're kind of at a fork in the road here. Do we call it cut our lot or not really cutting our losses, but like saying, okay, this was a good ride, but we're gonna dip out while we're on a high? Or do you just say, now we're still good, let's keep going, blindly not knowing if we might be tarnishing our career or not? And not to say that. I mean, I told you before, I'm not a big fan of these three albums. The Coheed that I do love is Past Us. Um, and maybe it's a deal too where I could with Vaxis, I kind of separate it because I feel like, and I'll speak about it more with Color Before the Sun. That's just like that's a different band to me because it's not Coheed's story. It's not the Coheed and Cambria story. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, it's kind of a side project album there. But anyway, but with Vax, it's like I could probably see myself like listening to it more and then maybe getting into the story, which I'm sure that's probably what you're going to present me with here to try to sway me. So maybe I'll be open with it a little bit, but first listen through and everything, I'm still kind of like, not really digging it. Nothing like really jumped out too much, like the other stuff.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah. I feel like
No,
there was another point in that, but I don't remember what it was.
I definitely get that. There's no moments in this that just make me be like, oh my God,
Right,
with
right,
just, some ridiculous riffs paired back to back, I it's hard to explain the feeling that those first, especially three, and you can say No World for Tomorrow too, like it's a
yeah,
wrap up. You feel it all coming to a close in that album.
right,
It's a lot of reflection, I feel like.
right, yeah, yeah, I agree.
There's at least at least one, I'm pretty sure there's two where Claudio's just where Claudio's just remembering a lot of the things that happened and people that he was with and New Awaken, who hasn't even been a part of any of this since Second Stage Turbine. Like that's like 20 years ago. So, um, but it's hard to really describe well the feeling in those first three or four. And there's just none of those, like, just being frank, there's none of those oh shit moments in
Right, yeah,
these three albums. So,
yeah, I agree. I agree.
I mean, there's some great stuff. There's a lot of really great guitar stuff. There's some epic solos. Like, I like these, and I feel like we're going in the right direction.
Okay.
And I could see the next one, Vaxis 3, being really something. That being said, I have not listened to the single that dropped, I guess, yesterday or the day before.
A couple of days ago, I think. I think Friday.
Okay. I
Thursday or
have not
Friday,
listened to
maybe.
that yet, and I know there's been some hate over that. People saying that it doesn't sound like a Coheed song,
Well,
but
maybe it's just kind of a one-off, though. Maybe
right.
it's not like an actual, like, hey, it's gonna show up on the next album.
I mean, they're not really one though to just drop singles and they're not a part of something.
Maybe that's who they are now.
That'd be terrible. Don't do that.
Don't do that. Don't do that to us,
No,
man.
he's promised 5 parts of this. He's got to deliver. Don't winds of
uh,
winter me.
oh gosh. Did you besides these three albums, did you listen to anything else this week, Josh?
I'm going to show you this, and then I'm going to
Oh,
tell
here we go.
you. I'm going to
This is
ask
what he
you
did.
if I've been listening to anything else this
This
week.
is what he's been doing all week. And if you're just listening on podcast, it's Charlie from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, the classic mailroom episode where he's basically gone mad. So, and there's Yarn and Pepe Sylvia, and Pepe Sylvia, and Pepe Sylvia, and strings and mail everywhere. And yeah.
Right before we got on, I just got done reading a bunch of stuff, and I literally like closed the window and was just like,
So you tell me. Yeah. Alrighty. Well, same here.
come back for
Except
next
not
week
in that way.
when I'm a freaking mess trying to explain this entire storyline to you.
Well, that's a lot better than what I was going to say because I was about to remind everybody of part four next week. But I think that's the best way to put it. This is going to be Josh at the end of part four. He's going to be smoking a cigarette with the tie on, crazy eyed. Yeah. His your green screen's just gonna be a billboard with like strings everywhere. I love it. Nice. Alrighty,
Oh,
Will. Yeah.
have you seen, before we like really start getting into it, have you seen anything about so let me switch over to my main here. Okay, so over here on my left, it's the Vaxxis 2 cover,
hmm
and oh, there we go. Right behind Vaxxis here is a little spaceman.
Yeah. Well, astronaut, yeah.
Yeah. Who do you think that guy is?
Me?
Yeah.
No, I'm saying me. That's my answer.
Oh, it's you?
I'm a spaceman. I don't know who is it.
You're in there now. You're Jesse.
I am Jesse. So you think that's part of your little theory there, huh?
No. The
Oh.
spaceman I've actually seen a bunch is Sirius from our
Ah.
scientist from
Okay.
Afterman.
Okay. Interesting.
The thought there is that he was inside such a short amount of time, it felt like to him, but in the real world, it was like 500 and something days.
Yeah.
So the thought is that he's been inside um, the Willing Well, and yeah, that's what like he's been there this entire time because we don't know how much time has passed, but this is after uh what do they call it? The Great Crash.
Oh.
And that's when we got to assume that Claudio destroys like their universe. And it's not destroyed, but it is like severely messed up.
Scoot over again real quick. Let me see something. Because I did notice, so the little spaceship to Vaxis's left, yeah. It kind of, well, I did notice that before this week when I was, listening to the album. And it kind of made me think of the second stage turbine discussion that we had with the dragonfly on the front. And then you said something about it kind of being like a ship or something.
Yeah, that's how I always kind of envision them. I don't know. I
Is
envisioned
it
a lot
not
of
though?
these
Okay.
like ship. I mean, I never found anything like
Well,
that.
I kind of look at that and I'm like, it kind of looks like a dragonfly. I mean, a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it has kind of
Like,
has
maybe.
similar
Yeah.
properties.
I don't know. Anyway, I'm just
Um,
grasping.
my theory, Curtis, is that this is like a Jesse scenario. Jesse was also an IRO robot. Um, and so we know that him and Coheed and Cambria are all the same. And if Coheed and Cambria die, which they had already died at the beginning of Second Stage Turbine Blade and come back to life somewhere else, then is there a possibility that Creature and Sister Spider are Coheed and Cambria?
Sure.
Like that they keep finding each other in these.
Hmm. And these different, yeah. Okay. Maybe.
Because I know we talked about it's supposed to be the story of like two mutants, and I was picturing two like crazy looking
X-Men?
space aliens, but I think these people just like have powers, you know?
Okay, yeah. They're
Because
just gifted.
any kind of artwork I could find for any of this and both albums, like they portray them as just kind of normal people. So I don't think,
There's nothing
yeah.
special about you at all.
Well, no, I mean I think they have some kind of powers like
Right, but
the
not
others
like,
had, you
yeah.
know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But like you're saying, not you were expecting some alien looking thing. You're like, oh, you look normal. Hmm.
Yeah.
That was disappointing.
And she comes back after being shot. And I don't know, there's just like these things that make me think like they could be IRO robots also.
Okay. Maybe.
Um,
Maybe
but
so. We'll find out more next week.
Probably not, because there's
Oh, never
no.
mind.
Yeah, there's nothing out there for this.
Josh
Like,
will be
I
going
never
on the
saw
dark web for
anything.
stuff.
Yeah, I never saw anything anybody else saying, "Oh, like I thought that maybe that could be Coheed and Cambria," because they tell you that it's a new story, like it's further down the line
Right.
after the events that have happened. But that's not inconceivable if Jesse, when he dies, comes into the present in a totally different
Inconceivable.
world. So
Yeah. Huh? I don't know. Time will tell. Maybe Vaxis 3 will tell us more. Ooh. Should be coming up
perhaps,
here pretty soon, too. You would think, timeline wise, because the last one came out in 21.
yeah,
Yeah, 21. So you would think we'd be coming up on it, especially if we're releasing singles, whether they are going to be on the album or not. But
yeah.
anyway. All right. If you haven't guessed it already, talking about the band Coheed and Cambria. Oh, is this who we're talking about? I thought we were talking about Slipknot today. Yeah, I'm really confused.
Oris Baratheon.
Oh, jeez, here we go, man. Here we go. Where we last left off, the current lineup was Claudio Sanchez on vocals and guitar, Travis Seaver on guitar, Zach Cooper on bass, and Josh Eppard on drums. In early 2015, it was announced by frontman Claudio Sanchez that the band was looking to get back into the studio sooner rather than later. With another chapter in the Emery War storyline concluded after the release of the Afterman series, fans began to wonder what story Sanchez would come up with next. But instead of writing another chapter connected to the Amory Wars, Sanchez would choose to go off the beaten path and instead create an album that reflects on the recent events in his life, which included moving from the countryside to the city, his child Atlas, of which a studio version of the song of the same name is found on the album, among other topics as well. We're talking about 2015's The Color Before the Sun from 300 Entertainment. Produced by Jay Joyce, who has done work with Cage the Elephant, The Wallflowers, Iggy Pop, Zach Brown Band, Emmylou Harris, Eric Church, and many others. It is the first non-conceptual album the band has released, making it the only Coheed and Cambria album to not be part of the Amory Wars world. It placed number 29 on Rock Sound's top 50 releases of 2015, and a deconstructed version of the album was released later, featuring demos and live recordings of songs on the album. Sean Barry of Consequence.net wrote a review on the album stating, quote, after exploring the rich, extensive science fiction saga of the Amory Wars for 7 albums, prog rockers Coheed and Cambria are finally ready to make it personal. Where their previous works focused on a fantastical story created by frontman Claudio Sanchez, they lift the sci-fi curtain and shine a spotlight directly onto Sanchez with their 8th album, The Color Before the Sun. No longer hiding behind his creation, the protagonist of which gave his band their name, Sanchez is finally unafraid of how fans might react to a Coheed and Cambria record inspired by the story of Claudio Sanchez of New York, rather than Coheed and Cambria Clingannon of Heaven's Fence. The result is a refreshingly honest, even inspirational album. In a feature with Team Rock, Sanchez details how The Color Before the Sun was written at a crucial transitional period in his life, moving from the wide open spaces of upstate New York to an apartment in Brooklyn. Sanchez and it why? Why would you do that? Why would you ever want to do that?
That sounds terrible.
Yeah, why would you ever willingly want to do that?
I live in
Sanchez and
nice
his
upstate New York, and I'm gonna move to the gutter.
Yeah, exactly. We love you, New York.
I'm
Make sure
sure it
to
was a
subscribe to the
nice.
channel.
I'm sure it was a nice place too. I mean, probably in a good area, but still,
Why would you
still,
want to trade that though? Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Sanchez and his wife find themselves cramped and compacted into their new home, along with the uncertainty of what lies ahead. Written during their time in this apartment, the album accurately portrays that special sense of urban claustrophobia, with its tight confrontational riffs giving way to spacious leads. The album begins with this sort of mindset on opener Island and moves in closer with Eraser. Sanchez striving for that sense of escape, even wishing for time to be turned backwards so that he can live more freely. It's the essential struggle and desire for more, so present in the post hardcore records of this decade, that breathed life into this album. Sanchez fights his inner conflict between escapism and acceptance throughout the record, where Colors and You Got Spirit Kid preach the gospel of accepting things as they are and making the best of them. Eraser and Ghost portray Sanchez with one foot out the door, wanting to be anywhere but where he is at that moment, even on the ladder where he learns he's going to be a father. Ghost is a stripped down finale to the album's colorful first half, Sanchez whispering and bearing all to his acoustic guitar. It ends up being the most genuine song on the album, conjuring images of its writing process. Sanchez in the corner of his apartment, yearning for little more than the escape of an out of body experience. The next half begins, though, refreshed and vibrant with the arrival of Sanchez's son, Atlas. Accepting things as they are, good or bad, is a nice mantra to have, but with the pressures of a wife and son at home, Sanchez finds renewed purpose in his work. While Atlas itself finds a comfortable post-hardcore color by numbers format, its honesty and sentimentality tug at the heartstrings. That formula weighs down the entire album. Its predictability buoyed some by genuine emotion. The only song that truly breaks that formula and ends up being the most interesting on the album is the one dedicated to us all, the audience. The audience is Sanchez at his most spiteful and juvenile, boasting that despite this sort of reaction that this very personal album of his and his band receives, he'll quote, still be here when you're done. It's from that aggression that the album pulls its most progressive and listenable moments. And while the ham-fisted pushback of the audience can be somewhat off-putting, the newfound courage that lies therein gives Sanchez a confident indifference worth praise and recognition. On Peace to the Mountain, Sanchez and his family return to their house upstate, Sanchez finding closure in the acceptance of his life as it has become. The song is just as bright and inspirational as nearly everything before it, and yet, while many of the songs on The Color Before the Sun do fall into a certain post-hardcore formula that's used over and over again throughout the album, the journey presented therein makes the difference. The decision to set the Amory Wars aside to make a more personal statement results in a surprisingly rewarding experience, likely as much for the listener as it clearly is for the band. While this sort of autobiographical, thank you, good Lord, thank you. Songwriting can't be found in the band's foundation. This new freedom and genuine self-acceptance should be encouraged and even expanded upon in their future works. I told you, I'm ready to go to bed. Songs on this album include Island, Eraser, Colors, Here. I almost said Here Before the Sun. See, this is what I'm talking about. Here to Mars, Ghost, Atlas, Young Love, You Got Spirit Kid, The Audience, and Peace to the Mountain with bonus track, Bridge, and Tunnel. Like I even like reading that review, like I start kind of struggling because I still feel like I don't know. I don't want to like pigeonhole Coheed and Cambria, you know what I'm saying, like to the Amory Wars or the Amory Wars world or whatever. But I mean, I've already said it's like I kind of look at this album as like a side project album. And as like I struggle with like, should it be in their discography or should they have just said, hey, we're still doing Coheed and Cambria, but we're gonna go over here real quick and just kind of like hit a reset, but like not disturb Coheed and Cambria's discography. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But
I look at it as a palate cleanser.
right. And that's where I'm kind of like, maybe it does kind of fit I mean, maybe it's okay to do it. I don't know. I mean, obviously it's okay to do it. They did it. They made it work. But for me, just sitting there listening after what, seven, did it say seven albums of, what we've gotten with all the storyline and everything like that, it's kind of hard to like say, all right, Cody and Cameron's got a new album coming out. Oh, what's that? It's just a rock album? No storyline? Okay. It just
A
feels
couple,
weird.
yeah. I told you before we started that I felt like Atlas could easily have made it onto Vaxis 2.
Right.
Um, yeah, probably would have had to have been Vaxis 2. But it could have been, during his time that like Vaxis is in a coma. I feel like that still would have fit really well. Um, but yeah, there's tracks on here that could have made it on to Unheavenly Creatures or Vaxis and worked out just fine, I think.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying. This has always been a weird place in the discography for me because when this one came out, I gave it a shot, and they said it didn't have anything to do with the story. And I thought, okay, well, they're done. Like they've decided they're not going to go any further with anything like that. And of course, like they came back to it, on Heavenly Creatures. We're going back. This is post Emery Wars. Like it's they still call it the Emery Wars, but it's after the events that we know.
Right.
Um,
I mean, I mentioned this is in the last episode of the first episode where, like, in any other regular band, I'm sure you're pretty busy trying to write music and lyrics and everything like that. If like, you're in Claudio Sanchez's position, but this is different. Like his whole world revolves around writing the music, writing the lyrics, writing the story, and make sure everything lines up together, everything's connecting. Plus, on top of that, then you're doing the comic books. So, like, this dude does not have. There's no way this guy has a lot of like free time. It's like from
yeah,
dawn to dusk. Like this is his world, and so when you when you look at it as a whole now here in 2024, you look at that album, you think, okay, yeah, I can understand where it's like he needed to pump the brakes, probably in like you say, a palate cleanser or a hard reset. Just give me a break. Let me step away from this for just a moment.
yeah,
Um, I could see what you're saying though at the time when it comes out, you're kind of like, oh no, what are we doing? What are we doing here?
yeah.
Because yeah, that'd be like, oh
I
yeah,
just didn't think we
if
would
this is
go
the direction
back.
they're going.
Yeah, I just
Yeah,
didn't think we would go back.
right.
So
What's up with the album artwork?
I don't know. In my
Chairs
head,
flying.
yeah, it's like a house kind of coming apart, you know?
Yeah, maybe he is the house. He's coming apart.
Yeah, and I think maybe that was like their house, maybe.
Yeah, that's true. Wonder what the deal was though, why they went there. Because towards the end of the review, it says that they ended up moving back. So I
Right.
remember and I was like, wait, why did they do that? I don't know. The
Yeah,
house
just
get
kind of
flooded.
weird.
A hurricane hit the house. I don't know. Yeah. Um, anything else for this album, Josh?
Not really. No.
I mean, it just kind of sits there in the discography, you know. I mean,
Yeah.
how can you really?
It's like okay, like I might not like skip something, if it came up,
Yeah.
but the only song I'm probably gonna seek out on this album is gonna be Atlas.
Okay.
So,
Well, that is 2015's one off, The Color Before the Sun. Let us carry on. Release of their newest album saw the band hit the road in 2016, touring with bands throughout the year, such as Glassjaw, I the Mighty
beautiful.
Glassjaw.
Yeah. Oh
Gotcha.
no, wait, never mind. I do like Glassjaw, but
Okay.
I I was gonna say Glass Casket. I
Oh,
saw the wedding one time when two of their guys were out, and it was the drummer and the bassist from Glass Casket filling in.
nice. Yep. Glassjaw, I the Mighty, Silver Snakes, Saves the Day, and Polyphia. The first half of 2018 would bring fans news of the band as a tour with Taking Back Sunday would be planned, as well as a change in record labels as the band would join Road Runner Records, setting the stage for the next chapter in the band's discography. The band would tease new music on their summer tour, which went viral online, prompting the band and their label to release the music video for their first single off their new album, The Dark Sentencer, later announcing the album title and release date of their new album, 2018's Vaxis, Act 1, The Unheavenly Creatures from Roadrunner Records, produced by the band, Coheed and Cambria. The album dives back into the world of the Amory Wars, but with a new story. Not one that we're familiar with. Unless you're like Josh and you're trying to connect the dots and yeah, anyway. You're going
I'm
crazy, man.
familiar now.
Author Rowan5215 of SputnikMusic.com wrote a brief review of the album stating, quote, insanely, Vaxis is the longest Coheed album, even if it seems restrained compared to the genre-switching mayhem of the good Apollo albums. Actually, this is a shockingly consistent 79 minutes of music. You won't find a Once Upon a Dead Body here so much as a very focused set of songs roughly occupying the mid-tempo prog with colossal chorus section of Coheed's Ovra, Ovra. But let's not set aside this band's capacity to switch genres at quick notice too soon. True Ugly recalls the grimdark post-hardcore feel of the underrated Year of the Black Rainbow, with Josh Eppard to balance the scales a little bit. All on Fire and It Walks Among Us stretch the band's slightly atrophied from fear through the eyes of madness, grooves, muscles, and best tracks, Love Protocol and The Pavilion surprisingly recall Color's hooky indulgences qualified with stronger instrumental songwriting. Vaxis kind of succeeds on every front without being a clear frontrunner on a single one. It lacks the diversity of The Afterman, but attempts something like consistency, foregoes the rawness of the second stage Turbine Blade for a little bit of maturity and focus, and so on. If you've missed the concept-heavy nerd-outs of classic Coheed, then this might strike you as their best output in 10 years or so. As an authority on the band myself, the standout moments here are actually the ones where the less popular ideas from Year of the Black Rainbow onwards are reworked into a classic Coheed context, like a retrospective, fleshed out look at how those albums could have been. So yeah, Vaxis could be a solid 15 minutes shorter. The title track sounds like it never got past being a Casio keyboard demo, and the general mixing is literally as flat and undynamic as it could possibly be. No one's expecting perfection. But when that chorus on Low Protocol hits, or the Pavilion's second verse just stops pretending to be about anything else other than Claudio's declining love for touring with the band, longtime fans will be busting out the Kleenex for, "You want me here? Then ask me to stay." These are transcendent moments of music that stand with the best the band has ever given us. And it feels like 18 years of history, story, and fan-based community are coming together like some sort of keyword? What? Songs on this album include Prologue, The Dark Sentencer, Unheavenly Creatures, Toys, Black Sunday, Queen of the Dark, True Ugly, Love Protocol, The Pavilion, A Long Way Back, Nighttime Walkers, The Gutter, All on Fire, It Walks Among Us, Old Flames, and the finale, Lucky Stars. I had something in mind, but then I've already lost it. Tell me, Josh, tell me about Vaxis Act 1, The Unheavenly Creatures. But first,
Vaxis. Okay.
okay, nope, no, you're good. You're good. I thought you were still on mute, so I was going to say, but first, unmute your microphone.
Nope.
Okay.
Vaxis 1, Curtis. There's so many similarities here. You know, the opening, we've got the prologue, but the opening line in The Dark Sentencer is it begins with them, but ends with me, their son Vaxis. In the same way that the Amory Wars opened with the story of Coheed and Cambria and ends with their son Claudio.
Whoa.
Um, so for me, there's just like more and more evidence here all the time that this is a
Yeah.
possible.
I think one of the, and this is what I was kind of saying at the beginning of the episode. I think if you, and especially if you talk to me more about it in the next episode, or maybe even now, whatever you know, about storyline wise, I could probably get into Vaxis more. I think the biggest thing for me on these two albums is I'm not a big fan of musically the way that they go. And I think with this one, especially, I don't think I was a big fan of the production work that they did themselves. And it kind of shows in the review too. The reviewer said the same thing. It's like there's just something kind of off about the mixing, or yeah, the mixing and the production work. And I wondered if they kind of realized, yeah, we may be in over our heads because the next one they get an actual producer to come in and do the work with them. Um, which I kind of wonder if that's kind of like remember for the Afterman they did their own like label or
Yes.
whatever. And I kind of wonder if it's just like with that and then this with the production deal, if they're just kind of like, this really isn't for us. Like, whereas we talk about with a lot of bands, that seems to be kind of like the goal is like to be independent, to do things yourself, to do the production by yourself, to do the record label by yourself. But it's just kind of backwards with Coheed, it seems. But anyway, but yeah, I'm just not a big fan of like, and we've talked about with, a lot of different bands coming into, the late teens, early 2020s, where it's like it's kind of that you get more of that kind of electronic feel in the music, and I'm not like
Yeah.
a big fan of that even like here. Um, so I just kind of feel like that kind of kills it for me a little bit. But I think if I knew more about the story, because I did like the prologue, I did like hearing the narrator Vaxis, talk about, and I did like that line. What was it again?
It begins with them, but ends with
But ends
me,
with
their
me.
son Vaxis.
Vaxis, yeah, I did like that. That was pretty cool. So I bet if I knew more about the story, I could probably get into these two albums more, you know.
Yeah.
But
Unheavenly Creatures is essentially the story of two bounty hunters that are a part of uh, a group of bounty hunters called the Unholy or um
I'm sorry, all I could think of was Dog the Bounty Hunter and his wife.
oh god.
Right,
He's Dog, she's Bev.
exactly. Okay, now I can see this. I can see this now.
He's the Durg, the big bad
Yeah.
Durg.
Oh boy.
Um
Now, which one of his sons on the show is Vaxxed?
oh god.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, they're a part of a group of bounty hunters called the Unheavenly Creatures.
Okay.
She is she's betrayed by another member of the group and shot and left for dead in an attempted robbery, I believe. And then the two of them that are left, Creature and Otto, I think is his name, they get picked up by it's essentially the new Heaven's Fence. They're called
The corporation.
yeah. No, we'll never defeat the corporation. There
Wasn't it
is
something
one way to
about,
do it.
yeah,
There
but
is
isn't it
one way,
something,
Adson. You can shoot yourself.
jeez. Yeah, but wasn't it something about a corporation or something?
Yeah, hold on just a sec.
Okay. Yeah, because I was thinking I had heard either you told me about that or whatever, but the corporation. Hi, we're the corporation. You're here to
No,
take over.
we'll never defeat the corporation.
Oh man.
Okay.
Because everybody loves the
Uh,
corporation.
what is the name of their group?
The corporation.
It's not the
I'm
corporation.
oh, sorry, it's the corp.
Oh my
What's
God.
uh what's the Pokemon? What's the corp on there? What was that called? A Rocket Corp or something?
No, that was Dragon Ball Z, dude. It's Capsule Corp.
No, that's right, Capsule Corp. Yeah, yeah. Anime.
Okay. Here we go. Okay, yeah, Heaven's Fence is gone. In its place is basically it's the same thing. It's called the Five
Heaven's
Houses
Fence Part
of
2.
it's called the Five Houses of the Star Supremacy.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah. And then Nostrand, who is Creature, and Nia, who is Sister Spider. They're bounty hunters in a group called the Unheavenly Creatures. Um Their Otto and Nostrand are taken prisoner by Star Supremacy, and he comes back across her, and she like works for them. She's a warden for the Star Supremacy. She was basically like found and given um, immunity or clemency if she basically just came to work for them. And so the two of them escape. And at a certain point, they find out, well, Nostrum finds out that he has a son, but he's not born yet. There's like these prophet type people who give him that knowledge through this vision. And yeah, and then that's Vaxis 1, and then Vaxis 2 is more about like his Vaxis's birth and how he is in a coma basically until towards the end of the album when he's brought out of this coma by something else.
Well, I didn't like that eye
And
roll.
dude, it's like it's so
Is
much.
it
It's
too
so
much?
much. It's
See,
not
okay, so then
it's
let me
not
ask you
too
that.
much. It's
Is
just a lot.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, clarify that for me then, because it seemed like
Yeah.
you're enjoying this, but then when you say that and you roll your eyes, I'm kind of like, whoa, wait a minute, is this too much going on for him?
I am, but there's a lot. So
Okay, but you're enjoying it though, right?
I am enjoying it though.
But are
Um,
you? I still feel some like apprehension from you though.
well, this is like still the beginning. This is
Right.
like
Gotta set the
we're
foundation somehow.
yeah, the equivalency here would be Vaxis by the end almost feels like the end of second stage turbine because
God, if
that's really when Claudio's story starts.
right.
And, then Silent Earth is about him, like, the war starts. He figures out that he's this chosen one, that he has these powers, and then
Speaking
things.
of Silent Earth,
Oh,
you rockets.
rockets.
Did you see that?
No, I couldn't see it because I've got some other stuff to do.
Ah,
Yeah.
let me do it again.
Hold on. Hold on. Okay, I see him.
Anyway, carry on.
Um,
Anytime you say in keeping secrets Silent Earth, I'm going to do that.
it starts to feel like second stage because that's where I feel like we're going with this next album. I feel like on this next album, it's going to be
Oh,
no, Vaxis 3 is going to be like Silent Earth because there we go. Because that was where Claudio's story really started to take shape. And I
Right.
feel like now that Vaxis is conscious and he has these crazy powers like Claudio had, then
Audio 2.0.
now we're about to get rolling. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was telling you is like it's gonna be interesting to see what Vaxxis 3 will be then. If he's kind of like really start you really start, you know, pew. Yeah.
What do you think of our new reoccurring theme?
I can't what was it? Is
It's
it the
the we all go down in
yeah,
flames.
it might grow on me.
Because in
I still like the
Unheavenly
classic one
Creatures at
though.
the beginning, it's just the piano.
Right.
Like there's no lyrics, and then the album ends with that too.
Right, yeah.
And then the next album
You start it.
starts with it actually being sung. But
Mhm.
it's like it sounds like maybe by his kid, or it might be like what was it, his niece before on
I was
the
always wondering maybe if it'd be like
Good
the niece
Apollo.
again. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's a little kid singing it there. And if they continue it, because we could get several different really
Oh, you'd
cool
have to
versions of
though.
that. We could
Yeah.
get a really dark one, at the beginning of the next one, like we got with was it Good Apollo that was the darker one? Yeah, that was the one that was on strings.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
So we could get some really cool variations of that. So I am hopeful for that. Oop. Yeah, let me get the spooter. Fill in for me.
Whoa. Spooter. How big is it? It's a big boy.
It's not a spooter. I could see it on the light. It's a gnat.
Oh gosh.
The way it was
Like
reflecting, it looked like it had
what
legs. I thought it was just a
why is it
little
just like
one.
flying around? That's not a spider.
Oh my God.
Well, that's 2018's Vaxis Act 1, The Unheavenly Creatures. To promote their latest work, the band would first head out on a short tour with maps and atlases before announcing in early 2019 the Unheavenly Sky Tour, which would be co-headlined by Mastodon and would feature Every Time I Die. I place it before you, Josh. If that tour came to town, are you going?
Oh yeah.
How much money are you willing to pay for that tour?
Give me the bands again.
Coheed and Cambria,
Uh-huh.
co-headlining with Mastodon,
Okay.
and also featuring Every Time I Die.
Not as much as I would have paid during like Good Apollo, Crack the Sky, and that probably would have been Big Dirty maybe for Every Time I Die in that same time
2007?
frame. But
So 2007, right?
uh no, Good Apollo came out like 2006, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't know what I was thinking there. Okay, hold on. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. We're
Let
getting there.
us yeah.
2005. No, that'd be
Was
Gutter.
that Crack the Sky?
I don't know about Mastodon. Let's see. Mastodon. 2005. 2005. Leviathan, 2004. No. Crack the Sky was 09.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it'd be in
Damn.
between Leviathan and Call of the Mastodon. And then Every Time I Die, I think it's Gutter Phenomenon.
Okay.
Be 05, right?
That's pretty good.
No,
That's pretty
06.
good.
Big Dirty's 07. So it'd be in between Hot Damn and Gutter Phenomenon.
Okay.
So, but if we're talking 2019, you know, yeah.
Yes, I would.
Okay. Like everyone else in the world, Coheed and Cambria would have to halt any future touring or future album releases due to the 2020 pandemic. Instead, opting to
What?
what was this thing? I've never heard of it. instead opting to release in August of 2020 a unique single, a sequel to Rick Springfield's 1981 classic hit, Jesse's Girl, entitled Jesse's Girl 2. How original. Which would feature
Not good.
which one?
Either of them, not
Okay.
good.
Which would feature the original songwriter Rick Springfield. Now, the band members liked this idea so much that it was reported that possible plans for a full sequels album could come together, but to this day, we still have yet to receive one. I know Josh is just dying to hear that full album so he can critique it.
I don't.
Sucks, 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 sucks.
I don't. I don't get it.
I don't
Like
know, man.
I like even like reading the lyrics and stuff. I'm like, if this is supposed to be like a sequel song, it doesn't make any sense. I guess it's saying that like it's kind of saying that she's crazy. So, because okay, I'll read you some of the lyrics. So a miracle happened, and I got my wish. You see, Jesse saw it fitting. Stranger to me then makes sense to me now. I go and take what's his. Oh, he did me dirty, but things got funny as time exposed. That didn't. Nothing could stop her. The flip side of Jesse's girl that no one knows. She's out of her mind.
No, I didn't say she's crazy at all. I think she's the sanest person ever.
I I do like where they were at when they were doing this because like the music that they write for this and his vocal style, the cadences, this is some stuff I would like to hear in Vaxis 3. Like
Okay.
let's get back to this Coheed, you know?
Okay. Okay.
Like this
Okay.
feels very good Apollo-ish.
Yeah. The way that you're sitting there and their heads are popping up on Vex's 2 album artwork, so it looks like if I unfocus my head, no, go back down. No, you're too far now. If I unfocus my eyes, yeah, right about there, it looks like you got like cat ears on or bunny ears or something.
Their
Especially
heads.
with your headphones. Yeah, that's funny. During the downtime caused by the pandemic, the band would continue to write and arrange new material for a future release, finally being able to showcase some of it on their first tour since 2019 as they hit the road in early 2021 with The Used. Later in the summer of 2021, the band would announce the release date for the follow-up album to their previous one, 2022's Vaxis Act 2, A Window of the Waking Mind. Once again,
Vaxis.
from Roadrunner Records. Vaxis Act Number 2. I got that hot new single off of Vaxis Act Number 2, A Window to the Waking Mind. Wow. Produced by Zach Cervini, who's done work with Simple Plan, Limp Bizkit, Blink 182, All Time Low, Bring Me the Horizon, Bad Omens, Sleeping with Sirens, and many others, as well as Claudio Sanchez working with him on this album. The band had started writing the album just before the COVID pandemic began and saw many songs explore the challenges of living through quarantines and lockdowns while also being inspired by such subjects as the murder of George Floyd and frontman Claudio Sanchez's relationships with his son and wife. Although the album does exist in the Amory Wars universe, frontman Sanchez noted that parts of the story were still in flux as some plot points felt insensitive in the wake of the pandemic, with song titles such as Hallelujah Quarantine, written before the pandemic, centering around a quote, celebration called The Quarantine. Josh was just a young man. Anyway, what up? Oh, I thought you were going to say something.
Nah.
Okay. From Eric of AllMusic.com wrote a short review on the album saying, quote, most bands consider it an achievement to sustain a narrative concept over a single album. Coheed and Cambria have done, some of them don't even do that, man. You know, some of them don't even do that. Coheed and Cambria have done that across an entire career. Furthermore, the recordings overflow into attendant comics and books. 2018's Vaxis Act 1, Unheavenly Creatures, debuted a new 5-part arc in the Amory Wars saga. Sprawling across nearly 80 minutes, it began the story of new characters Naya, Sister Spider, and Nostran Creature, incarcerated within the prison planet known as the Dark Sentencer by the shadowy 5 houses of the Starry Supremacy Empire. They valiantly struggle to secure the safety of their unborn son, Vaxis, who even in vitro is a guiding presence to his parents. The more economical Vaxis 2, A Window of the Waking Mind, finds Nia and Nostrand years later on the run from their tyrannical overlords with Vaxis. He is locked inside his own mind and may have autism. What? Do you get
I
that?
didn't see that anywhere.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, the beauty in much of Coheed and Cambria's work, especially during the last decade, is that whether or not one follows the Amory Wars concept is immaterial. For all their intricate storytelling and consummate musical skills, the band remain surprisingly accessible. These 13 episodic songs are uncommonly brief and tight. They careen across emotionally wrought prog, indie rock, punk, post-punk, and more. As is customary throughout the saga, brief opener, The Embers of Fire, and the closing title track share a motive, thank you, from the final track of its predecessor. Beautiful Losers and the more keyboard-driven Liars Club, cousin later on, soar as anthemic mid-tempo pop-punk ballads. Comatose is charging, hook-laden prog that careens and chugs with an infectious melody. First single, Shoulders, initiates a powerful sequence of 5 songs. It's an exercise in spiky, metallic prog with a monstrous riff, zigzagging synths, disco hand claps, and an instantly memorable, unshakable chorus. A disappearing act follows with a gothic dance club come industrial vibe that intersects Rammstein and Daft Punk. Love Murder 1 offers an irresistible
Oh,
melodic.
Rompunk.
Right, Rampunk.
Or my favorite, Daftstein.
Oh boy. Love Murder 1 offers an irresistible melodic frame under a powerful guitar slash bass vamp. They claim it for fist pumping arena rock. Blood is a gorgeous, theoretical, resonant ballad with a heartbreakingly beautiful lyric. The Liars Club juxtaposes electric guitar and analog synths and overdriven pop punk with a killer bridge. Emerging from that sequence, Bad Man is a classic, hard edge, swaggering Coheed and Cambria, incorporating the influences of Nine Inch Nails and Tears for Fears. The final 3 cuts, the atmospheric ballad Our Love, the prog-drenched pop of Rise, Nanasha, Cut the Cord, and Window of the Waking Mind, close the set with a cinematic, sweet-like journey rife with labyrinth twist, turn genre shifts, and sudden episodic transitions that surpass even Dream Theater's most successful attempts at the same. Ultimately, Vaxis 2, A Window of the Waking Mind, is stellar. It offers fresh, wildly creative terrain to mine as the Amory Wars saga continues growing. Songs on this album include The Embers of Fire, Beautiful Losers, Comatose, Shoulders, A Disappearing Act, Love, Murder 1, Blood, The Liars Club, Bad Man, Our Love, Ladders of Supremacy, Rise, Nanasha, Cut the Cord, and the finale, Window of the Waking Mind. I will say, Josh, you do love me a guitar riff on Shoulders. That was pretty sick. I will give it that. And I did agree with the reviewer that last couple of songs. What was the ones he said? Our Love and Rise and Anasha and even Window of the Waking Mind. That kind of drew me back in towards the end of the album. But yeah, what did you think, Josh, of Act 2? Act 2.
I do like this. There are some down points here, but I like to look at, you're talking about a lot of the Sin stuff. I like to look at it as a little bit more, I don't know, like they're leaning a little bit more into the sci-fi
Theatrical?
aspects of it.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, and taking that theatrical approach, kind of to that, what they're leaning into. Um, so that doesn't really put me off. Um, there's a lot of questions like with this new saga, and I think that's a lot of what entices me about the story. Um, I think it's, the fact that I'm wondering constantly, is this Coheed, Cambria, and Claudio? Um,
Part
yeah,
deux.
yeah, just resurrected like Jesse is. We already have precedent for that. If Jesse can come back, like
I was supposed
I
to say
feel
you
like,
mentioned that before, so
yeah, and we know that Coheed and Cambria have come back already. So there is precedent for that. I also like the thought that this is serious, and the astronauts. I don't want to say
outfit.
uniform. That sounds weird. Yeah, outfit sounds weird too, though.
Get up.
Dressed as an astronaut. I don't know.
Is it Halloween?
Um, because Vaxis is supposed to be, while he's like in this coma, he's like trapped in not like purgatory, but kind of a
Kind of like
limbo.
Purgatory.
Kind of a limbo, you know?
Yeah. Okay.
Um, and that could potentially be where he comes across Sirius.
Okay.
So,
Man, that'd be crazy. That'd be wild.
well,
Yeah.
it would be a long time too, because the Sirius stuff happens in the early part of this, with Year of the
Hmm.
Black Rainbow. So that would be a long time for him to have been in there. But
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Yeah, for
almost two
sure.
years the first time. Well, it's a little less than that, but closer to 2 years the first time he went in.
Yeah.
So, and then the second
But
time, I don't think it ever really talks about if he came out. I don't think he did because he takes his wife's soul through.
I thought he comes out, she dies while he was gone, but then he tries to go back in to guide her soul.
I think she dies after he comes out.
Well,
And
okay.
then yeah, and then
He
he
comes
goes
out is
back
what we're trying
in.
to say, yeah,
Yeah, he
to
goes
guide her
back in
soul
to guide her soul through. But then yeah, we don't know that he ever comes back out after that.
because he's hiding
So
behind Vaxis right
right,
there
he's
in the
still there.
picture.
He's still in there somewhere.
Oh, he's still searching. Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. See, and that's where you get me. We've talked about this before with some bands. I mean, if you could connect that far back, okay. You got me. You got me, man. You got me.
Right,
I'll buy
now we're
in.
talking. Yeah.
Now we're talking, man. Now we're talking.
Yeah. If even one of
So
these people is a Kilgannon, it's a win.
it's a win, man.
Yeah, it's a win.
Um, musically, you still getting that kind of 80s vibe like you were talking about earlier?
Yes. Let me put another
Oh, geez.
I gotta put one more
Like
thing
that.
to you here.
Well, let me throw this at you.
Yeah, another comparison to the Kilgannons. So they have these things called, I want to say they're called gut rippers. No, okay, no, never mind, never mind.
Sounds
Never
like
mind.
it sounds like a hot sauce brand.
Yeah, I'm talking
Gut
myself through this.
rippers.
No, it's like an internal
They
weapon.
eat
It's like
hot
something
sauce?
that's placed in you, and I don't know.
Yeah, hot sauce.
I don't think. Yeah, I don't know the purpose of it.
Okay.
There's
What's your theory?
so much. My thought was that I know that they kill Otto with like a gut ripper, or gut gnasher, or whatever they call
Who?
it. Otto, who was the third in the Unheavenly Creatures.
Okay. I was about to say, I thought we were I thought two worlds were colliding for a second. It was like Hightower?
When Otto Hightower
No.
comes in and
That's where
no.
he's been this whole time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Oh, well, that would make sense with the final shot that we have of him in season 2 of House of the Dragon, where he's in that prison. So he's on Dark Sensor. He's in prison there.
Yep. Space prison.
It's like, how did I get here? Who are you people?
He Otto gets killed with that weapon they put in them, and at first I thought it was Nos who killed him, but it wasn't. They like used that weapon inside him to like destroy him. So, and at first I was thinking, I was like, okay, well, that's just one more thing because the Kilgannons were weapons and they didn't remember, and Claudio was a weapon and he didn't even know.
Hmm.
So
Okay. Interesting.
that was just one thing that I was like, oh man, that could be another. But I don't know. There's enough here without that, I feel like, to make a convincing case.
This is
So
just a tiny tease of the nonsensical ramblings you're going to get next week from Josh.
it's going to be incoherent
It's
babble.
gonna be a bunch of me sitting here going, "What?" And him going,
Yeah.
"No, no. See, what you gotta understand about this is over here, da 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 da, and then it comes over here." He's gonna have to pull up the whiteboard. You're gonna have to pull up the whiteboard on Zoom and draw it all out for us.
Yeah.
And here you have Vexus, and he comes over here, and yeah, it'd be wild,
And
man.
remember when he
It's gonna be
said
wild.
all these worlds will burn? Well, they did.
He
This
made
is
sure of
what's left.
that.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna take the racer, and I'm gonna burn all those worlds, and now we have nothing except for this. Yeah.
Yeah. And we don't even know really what happens in the Great Crash that causes the setup of this story. We got to assume because of the trajectory that Claudio's on, and that you kind of pick up, that we know for sure he's on at the end of Good Apollo, and that you kind of pick up on throughout No World for Tomorrow. There's just a lot of the imagery that's there. Then we have this, the Great Crash. It's the destruction of Heaven's Fence, the destruction of most of the worlds, and what's left is just a complete mess. So I kind of assume that Claudio goes out doing that. And then we're here some years later. We don't know how much
In
time
the
has passed.
aftermath. Yeah.
It's got to have been at least a little bit of time because you got to think for a long time there would have just been complete chaos.
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure. I would think so. Kind of a reconstructing
Yeah.
of the chaos or the aftermath or whatever.
And
It'll
I'm not
definitely
sure how
be
long was supposed to have passed between their death in Year of the Black Rainbow and, you know, Claudio waking up from these dreams in,
second stage.
or Coheed waking up from these dreams in second stage. Yeah.
Right. Yep. It'll be interesting with like I told you, third act 3 coming out. You would think pretty soon with a couple of
Can we
singles that
talk
have come
about
out. And then
Jesse, Curtis? I've been dying to talk about Jesse.
I thought you already did.
We're going to be
Would you
talking
really?
about Jesse more and more and more.
Oh, okay. Right now?
No.
Oh, okay. On the next episode.
Yep.
Maybe?
Next week.
Okay. I'm so confused right now. I don't know what's happening. Final thoughts,
It's just
Josh,
going to
on
get
act.
worse, Curtis. It's just
I
going to
know,
get
it's just gonna
worse.
get worse. Um, Final thoughts on Act 2, Josh. A window of the waking mind.
I feel like we've set up a really good base here. And depending on where 3 goes, I feel like that's going to tell you what you need to know about the next couple. For me, it just needs to come in a little bit harder hitting.
Think about when you're building a house from nothing, right? think about how much time it takes between, buying the land, getting the foundation and all the pipes and everything set up into it. And then once you get all that done, they start putting up like the walls and the roof. And I mean, think about how quick it goes once you get that foundation poured and everything, you know?
Yeah.
So maybe that's kind of like what we're looking at here, where it's like these two albums were the pouring of the foundation. So maybe Vaxxus 3 will kind of be like that. Okay, here we go. Now the studs are going up.
I hope so. I hope we get
Yeah.
some songs that just reflect the mood a little bit, of our
There's,
first
yeah,
three, because Vaxis needs a conflict. He
right.
that was what made Claudio's story interesting, was that big conflict that he faced, the big bad. And so if Vaxis isn't going up against the intergalactic houses of the five houses of the star supremacy,
Yeah.
if he's not going up against them, there's got to be something else. We can't do three more albums of just this kind of steady story that not a whole lot happens until the very end of both of these.
Right. If one thing is guaranteed in the Coheed and Cambria discography is they know how to reflect the mood of the music with the story in each album. Would you not agree?
I do agree.
I think they definitely have that talent. So with you saying that, I do trust them to do that um, going forward in the rest of the saga here. My prediction, the corporation hunts down the parents, kills them, and now he's got to take his revenge. Boom, story written.
Okay.
And
I'm
scene.
predicting we're going to take a decent sized time jump here. Like, I'm going to say it's going to be similar to between Second Stage and Silent Earth,
Yeah.
because that makes the most sense to me. He's just, he's a little boy here. Like, we need to jump to
He's
the
just
ready
a
for
boy.
the ready for war teenager.
Right.
So,
Yeah. Maybe that's the pattern that they're going to go with again, kind of following that same kind of pattern. But time will tell, Josh. Another album brought more touring as the band would embark on a window of the Waking Mind tour with Dance Gavin Dance and Mothica later adding Alkaline Trio in Dance Gavin Dance's place as the band would lose their vocalist Tillian Pearson due to sexual assault allegations. Not good. Not good. The
a
beginning
lot of
of
those guys fallen.
yeah,
Realizing a lot of those guys were really fucking up.
yeah. The beginning of 2023 saw the band hit the road again on the Never Ender No World for the Waking Mind tour, with Deaf Heaven later supporting Incubus on tour, while also, what up? Oh, oh, he laughed so hard, he coughed.
And keeping secrets of the second stage window into the waking mind of madness
Nice.
tour.
Uh, year of the, no.
Year
Later,
of the second stage.
there you go. Afterman. Later supporting Incubus on tour while also co-headlining an early 2024 tour with Primus. Most recently, the band has released two singles, The Joke, which was a track cut from the previous album, and the newest one, which actually just released a couple of days ago, this past week of this official recording here, Blind Side Sunny. Give me your thoughts, Josh. You voiced a little concern to me about this single.
Well, I had heard a lot of people saying that they didn't think it sounded like a Coheed song. And it is a little odd. It's like pretty much only screaming through the whole thing.
Really? Okay, I haven't listened
Yeah.
to it yet. Hmm, that'd be
There's
interesting.
there's more singing on the second half of this song. but I don't know. Man, it feels like one of those tracks off of Danger Days where like one of them that just kind of felt out of place. Are you listening to it?
Yeah. Hmm.
That single Deranged, that song sounds a little bit more like a Coheed song. But Blindside Sunny, I really hope this is not the direction we're going for Vaxis 3.
Yeah, that's really strange. Even like the music doesn't even sound like, you know.
It
I mean,
sounds
I'm
off.
yeah, oh, it's yeah. Well, I'm not even gonna lie, the very beginning of it with the riff and then like the hi-hat hit, kind
Yeah.
of counting them in, it made me think of like something like Maylene would put out. Like, what the heck? You know? It's kind of strange. That is interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, Josh. I don't know.
You just don't know.
Just don't know. Well, our current lineup is Claudio Sanchez on vocals and guitar, Travis Seaver on guitar, Zach Cooper on bass, and Josh Eppard on drums. Well, Josh, took us 3 episodes. It was a lot to talk about. First episode was almost 2 hours long, but it was well worth it. There was a lot of good things to say. Um, Final thoughts from you, Josh, on the band known as Coheed and Cambria.
I am hopeful. I'm hopeful. I think this will probably make the episode where we go back and we talk about some bands that have put out an album
Oh
since,
yeah, yeah.
we did their episode. So we'll have to revisit on Vaxis 3, but um you know, it's probably not a secret. I've enjoyed this cycle of episodes probably
I
more
was
than most of the others.
yeah, I was gonna say I'm making a prediction that a I'm trying to remember how we worded it. A segment of their discography will make your top, I think it was top five list. We might have to expand it to 10 with more bands coming in. Top 5 or 10 band list of or list of bands like greatest like what you know what I'm trying to say? I was trying to remember what it was called, but I forgot what it's called.
Like era.
Yeah, there you go. The eras of bands. We did that top five last year. And we said every year we're going to come back to it and see if anybody gets moved in or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm saying that Coheed might make that top five, man. They might nudge their way in there.
Yeah. Had I we just did it from bands that we had already done,
Yes. Yeah,
right?
that's the only thing
Okay.
we're doing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I think you're right. And it's got to be second stage through Good Apollo. Like that's or I guess you have to say through No World for Tomorrow because it's that whole
Right
thing. It
story
would be
there. Yeah.
weird to cut it off there. So,
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, so that's going to be interesting. A little early nomination there for the end of the year. So make sure to come back for that at the end of 2024. One thing is for certain with that list, and Josh said it when he made the list, nobody's going to top Every Time I Die off of that list. I mean, it would be an absolute miracle for him to be like, yeah, I'm moving Every Time I Die down.
yeah.
But I will say,
Did I just
but I
say
will
their
say,
entire discography on that one?
I don't even remember. I will say though, if I don't think it would, but if I had to put some money down on it, this would probably be the band to at least give some competition to Every Time I Die for You to take that number
Yeah.
one spot.
Yep.
So We'll see, man. We'll see. He might be fighting himself over it by the end of the year. I don't know. We're gonna find out. But anyway,
Never
that's
do
it.
I sing so passionately in the car as I do when Coheed and Cambria is playing.
There you go, man. I've been a witness to it.
That's the barometer.
More times than I want to be. Like, oh God, this is terrible singing. This is horrible. Please, God, make it stop. My ears can't bleed any more than they have.
Trying to hear
Oh, man.
Claudio Sanchez and
Yeah, I'd
Coheed
like
and
to hear
Cambria.
not Josh and Cambria. Oh man. Alrighty, well, we're done with the discography, but we're not done with the story just yet. So make sure to come back next week for part 4, where Josh dives head first.
Ah!
He's gonna start out the episode with a cigarette. Okay.
Like, Josh,
So
you
where do
stopped
I
smoking
begin?
cigarettes years ago.
It's just like your room is just clouded up with cigarette smoke. Like, dang, man. Yeah, it's
We
been a rough
start, I'm just
afternoon.
crying. I'm like,
Oh, you started the recording? Oh, man. So make sure to be back for that episode. But in the meantime, make sure to follow us on Twitter at Survive by Pro for news and latest episode postings, not just on this show, but our other shows as well. We have the History of the Cores After Hours podcast, where I sit down with my good friend and avid listener of this very podcast, and we talk about some of the bands me and Josh have already discussed. We will have a brand new episode next week, not this coming week, but next week, all about the band known as Coheed and Cambria. What?
what? Should we bring him
What?
on the lore episode so he's just like,
No.
what? At the end of
No.
it.
No. We also have the Red Right Hand podcast, which is covering all 6 seasons and soon to be a movie about the Peaky Blinders. And we also have the Throne of the Dragon podcast, which has covered season 1 and season 2, eventually season 3 of HBO's House of the Dragon, and next summer, season 1 of A Night of the Seven Kingdoms. But wait, there's something else too. In the off season, we're going to do some more reading. We're putting Fire and Blood on hold. We're going to do some Night of the Seven Kingdom reading to get prepared for that. But wait, before that, we got something else going on too. We got some character profiles going on. We're going to look deep into these people. Real deep, man. We're going to find out some things together, you and I. Yeah.
Would you say we're going to get in there nice and deep like?
Yes. Yes, I would. Yes, I would.
Okay.
Also, while you're on Twitter, okay, that's not like a reluctant answer. Yeah, okay. I wish I hadn't asked that. Also, while you're on Twitter, make sure to follow my co-host at Joshua Lynn Gary. Make sure to leave us a 5-star review and write us a comment on whatever podcast service you're using. And if you want to listen to us and see our smiling faces, head on over to our YouTube page. Just search is Survive by Productions, and then I'll have every episode from all of our shows. Subscribe to the channel, thumbs up the video, like that. If you can even see it. I don't even know if you can see it or not. But then also, send a rocket ship to the moon. Alrighty. Till next week, we'll see you.